What's going on, everybody? So today we're going to be talking about Treasure Hunter again because you guys love that video and you had a lot of feedback, as well as a Reddit post was just placed on Treasure Hunter right after I actually recorded it. And it seems like this is a super hot topic because Treasure Hunter is now usable everywhere. I want to talk about the viability, potentially it being the best tree for some of the harder PvE content, and I'll get to that in just a second, as well as a lot of I guess you could say the advantages of Treasure Hunter and where it really comes in handy, because a lot of people refer to the legendaries that you can get more so than if not having Treasure Hunter, but I don't think that's actually the main appeal. I think it comes in a different form. So I'm going to talk about some of your comments and questions and observations and go over this Reddit post. Let's get into it. So there's really three core parts to Treasure Hunter. I guess you could say four if you include all of these. And the fourth one is kind of a hidden sleeper, I think, for some people. But we have the XP, 50% more experience gained from defeating elite monsters. A lot of people were curious on how this worked. And also, this is something that I noticed 6 months ago when I initially tested Treasure Hunter. The orbs that you drop from the elite monsters do not get affected by this. It's only the kill itself. And the orbs scale based on what level of elite they are, or what rarity you could say. So like yellow elites, orange elites give you a little bit more orbs in terms of XP. So this only impacts the monster itself, which isn't actually that impressive. So this isn't as good as a lot of people might think. You have the treasure find, which combined with greed is going to be a 75% chance to increase the equipment drop rate from elite monsters. It's very important that you recognize elite monsters. It's not every monsters, it's only those elite monsters. And then you're going to have the 50% extra gold gain from monsters. And then lastly, you're going to have the potential 75% with greed, again, increased globe drop rate from monsters. Now, again, a lot of people were curious about the Swift Learner and why my orb experience was off. Actually, the data miner and I spoke a little bit about this, and he was curious as well. It's a little odd how it works, but that's just how it's coded, which is very strange to me. But more importantly, the treasure find is something that I think a lot of people are rating well, but for the wrong reasons. For example, here, if we just look at this post, they mentioned, I've since read that the actual difference in drop rates is extremely low, and they're referring to getting way more legendary drops. It's not necessarily about legendary drops. As you can see, it says especially bestiary. Bestiary doesn't actually work with this. It's only from elite monsters. Bestiary does not get affected by Treasure Hunter at all. This is something that a lot of people don't recognize because, again, this specific skill, it's only from elite monsters. So bestiary has nothing to do with that. So a lot of people think this or see this and they think, oh, we're getting a ton more legendaries from everything in the game. It's not everything, it's just from those elite monsters. And because of that, people are saying it's all about the legendaries. But based on how Magic Find works, it converts the rarity of the item up at a higher rate. For example, if you were going to get a gray item, it might become a blue item, higher chance, and that blue item might become a yellow item at a higher chance, and that yellow item might become a legendary at a higher chance. That's the current working theory of Magic Find. What the real advantage is the dust and scrap that you're going to get. If you're using Treasure Hunter all the time, using the treasure find and the greed, that combination is going to massively increase the amount of scrap and dust you're acquiring, because the harder thing to get is dust. Usually you have to convert your scrap up into dust, which means every dust that you get is way more valuable than the scrap. So if you're able to convert those gray items into blue or yellow items, you'll get way faster upgrades, and that is the major advantage of Treasure Find, which is why in every single video that I mentioned talking about getting extra scrap or dust, I always mention Treasure Hunter because that is the main value. Now, it's definitely very likely that this increases the legendary drop rate as well, but we don't know if that 75% increased equipment drop rate is directly affecting, okay, if you were to get 1 legendary per hour, now you're gonna get 1.75 legendaries per hour. We're not quite sure how this works because Blizzard's never ever told us how Magic Find works and never told us how the Treasure Find works. However, There's one other part to this, which I think is kind of a hidden sleeper, because we all know that extra gold is valuable due to the gambling. You can get better legendaries. This is basically like a pseudo more legendaries perk. And you guys saw it's kind of hard to determine, but over the course of time, this is definitely going to pay off. The key one is actually lucky here. This is something that I have not really used a whole lot, simply for the fact that, well, I've decided to go for full on damage, right? Every single tree I'm going for armor pen or I'm going for damage. And so I haven't really delved into lucky that much and really have seen the value of it. But going through this post and seeing some people, a lot of people are mentioning the orbs perk is insane. One of the least appreciated aspects is the extra orbs. If we continue on, I don't know if there's anyone else. I saw a couple more, but I can't find them here. But basically, the point is, there is a ton of people really valuing those orbs that you're getting. Now, when you're going through the game, what this means is it's not XP orbs, like we're talking about from Swift Learner and how Swift Learner doesn't affect the XP orbs, or monstrous essence. Those orbs are not what we're talking about. We're not talking about monstrous essence. We're not talking about XP orbs. We're talking about the value of the orbs that you're getting that are combat orbs, like the quickening globe, the HP globe, the potential cooldown reset globe, or the conduit globe. The ones that either do damage themselves or increase your attack speed or reset your cooldowns. Those globes that drop in dungeons or in other areas of the game give you massive bonuses. And the question is Treasure Hunter actually just the de facto best tree in all PvE content, even for pushing things like challenge rifts? Because the question comes from this, the comparison is Vanquisher versus Treasure Hunter, because in Vanquisher, you're getting the extra damage done in Exorcism, so 5% flat damage increase. We're getting extra attack speed up to 10 times, which is 6%, right? But this stacks up to 15 times, which means that we're getting 7.5% attack speed. Then we're also getting another 7.5% damage here. And then we're also getting a lot of guaranteed critical hits. Now, obviously, you need to go out and invest life into it. But for the Treasure Hunter tree, you're going to need to invest potency. Potency is going to give you a little bit more value in terms of damage than life is, because life is just life. For the most part, right? You could have some other things that convert your life into damage. But the orb, the quickening orb, the energy globe, the conduit globe, all three of those are way more than a 12.5% damage increase, or even some attack speed on top of that. Getting a full reset, let's say you're playing a Crusader and you're running a dungeon, right? You drop your banner, you cast all your skills, globe reset, boom, you're using all of that. Again, that is way more. That is essentially close to 100% DPS increase, because you have all your skills back up and you can launch them again. Or the quickening globe, especially for classes like the Barbarian and the Demon Hunter, who have a lot of basic ability or basic attacks in their kind of rotations. You're going to get a ton of value from that. So the lucky is actually hidden OP for giving you PvE damage, which is a little strange. And I'd like to go ahead and test this a little bit more for you all. But I think this is just something that, you know, people have noticed on my video, as well as this Reddit post talking about this. And I wanted to mention it here because a lot of people are curious about Treasure Hunter. Again, top comment here, one of the top comments here, the extra globes definitely works too. I used to not use this as it wasn't worth the points in my opinion, but after Treasure Hunter changed to work everywhere, I figured I might as well use it. I definitely noticed more health and buff orbs. I'd say all must be working, but like you said, hard to tell. Again, these orbs are something that a lot of people are noticing. Again, also, a lot of people mentioned that the scrap and the dust is worth more than the legendaries oftentimes for that extra part of Treasure Hunter. But what's really interesting is this conversation about whether or not lucky is a better PvE damage amping trait than Vanquisher. Now, one thing's for sure, it's not as consistent. That is guaranteed, right? But over the course of time, you get more value from this than running Treasure Hunter or than running Vanquisher. And I'd like to run this in a couple of challenge rifts. I like to run it in Elder rifts. I'd like to run it in dungeons to see if I notice a big globe drop rate bonus, and I'll let you guys know in the next video. So if you guys want to check that video out, be sure to like this video, sub to the channel, and let me know in the comment section and down below if you guys have been using Lucky here and notice a big increase in globe drops, and whether or not that's really affected your runs either in dungeons, open world, or challenge rifts. Thanks for watching. See y'all tomorrow.